This was an historic night for Wemby. The Spurs got the win at home over the Washington Wizards, 130-139. But the story of the night was Wemby dropping a 50-piece to help lead his team to victory. That's a career high for the second-year big man. This makes Wemby the fourth youngest player in the history of the NBA to have a 50-point game. He's only 20 years and 314 days old, and he's already dropping 50 pieces in the NBA. A lot to be excited about and a lot to talk about. Spurs Digest family, I'm Bryan Colbert Jr., and this is a Spurs Digest pre-game show. And what a better way to do a pre-game show than talk about our young man's first 50-piece, becoming the fourth youngest player in NBA history to get a 50-piece. Spurs Digest family, make sure you hit subscribe, make sure you comment, make sure you hit the little doorbell so you get notified every time we drop a video. If you can't tell, I'm in a hotel right now. I'm out in Philly, but it doesn't matter where we're at. It doesn't matter if we're on the road. It doesn't matter if we're on vacation. We're going to keep giving you guys amazing content and daily videos with our Spurs Digest page. So make sure you stay tapped in. Make sure you keep supporting and showing love like we know y'all always do. So let's get into it. Let's get into this game now. I'm gonna say this off the top because we're gonna end the show like this. All right. It wasn't a clean game. It was not a pretty game for the San Antonio Spurs. There's a lot of things that need to get cleaned up before they go on this really tough stretch of games. However, you gotta take time to show love to your 7'5" big man when he drops a 50. So we're gonna focus on the positives right now and show love to the big man, Victor Wembanyama. 50 points for the big man. And we said it coming into this game. He needs to continue to be aggressive. He needs to continue to be dominant because this team goes as far as Wemby is willing to take them. And Wemby got off tonight. Not only just 50 points, but he had 6 rebounds, 3 blocks, shot 18 for 29. But the most important thing is something that we have been talking about nonstop because we've seen y'all in the comments saying he needs to stop shooting. He needs to stop staying on the perimeter. He's too big to be on the perimeter. Well, that is BS clearly because these last few games we have seen what this offense can look like when Victor Wembanyama's shot is falling. 8 for 16 from the 3. I don't think you can ask for more from a big man. Shooting 50% like that, looking good from the three-point line, that is what we need to see from this Spurs team. That is what we need to see from Wemby. This team is better when Wemby is able to spread out the floor, stretch the floor, and allow other guys to get open. Wemby looked unstoppable in this game. And of course, that's what you expect, right? You expect Wemby to have strong games against really bad teams. However, last season, we very much could have saw the Spurs team lose this game, right? This Spurs team looked good. And yes, it was only a 9-point game. However, it was not as close as the score entailed. Like that late run in the third quarter was huge for the Spurs. They went on a 23-7 scoring run. 23-7 scoring run to end the third quarter. Now, granted, when you go on a run like that and then you only win by 9, it clearly means that you allowed a team to go on a run as well. And the Wizards did go on a run. And I think that is a testament to the same things we've seen a lot this season from the Spurs, a little simple mistakes, leaving shooters open, not getting back on defense, turnovers, things of that nature. Those are the type of things that you want to see cleaned up. But even tonight, like the turnovers weren't bad. Only 9 turnovers. Like that's pretty darn good for this Spurs team that we've seen. I mean, they cleaned a lot of things up. And I mean, how can you not when you have a guy like Wemby just having a career night and just getting off? It seemed as if everything Wemby put up was going in. He was able to clean the boards. He was able to do the dirty work, but he was still able to pick up a lot of this scoring bulk that this team needed. I mean, Wemby just looked so good and so strong on both ends of the ball, and this is the type of dominance we are hoping to see moving forward from Wemby. This is the type of dominance we are hoping to see for the rest of the season from Wemby because, again, he has the green light on this team. He has a green light on this team to go out here and ball out, and what an important night. What an important night to ball out too for the young star because, again, we know the news that was coming out when this game had started. We saw that, the Spurs had finally released, that Gregg Popovich, suffered a mild stroke, and that, it's going to take time for him to get back, but that he's healthy. Now, granted, I'm sure Wemby and the rest of this team knew that. I'm sure they knew this already way before anybody else did. However, when it becomes national media, when it becomes everything every single reporter wants to talk about, when it becomes every single headline, and the whole world is talking about Gregg Popovich, it's easy to get distracted. It's easy to let a game like the Washington Wizards, a team that is not that good, it's easy to let a game like that slip through the cracks. It's easy to let a game like that get over you, but the Spurs did not do that. They did not allow the Wizards to get any momentum in this game until the fourth quarter. It was very, very impressive, to the point where Wemby was even able to sit down early. Granted, he had to come back. Right? And that's not what we want to see. However, it was just, man, those first 3 quarters of basketball were great. Yes, it was tied at halftime, but I love seeing a game where Wemby can get off. Now, there is a ton of things to clean up on that defensive side. There's a ton of things. When you give up 42 points to anybody, especially a Jordan Poole, you cannot be too happy about the win, right? But in my opinion, a win's a win, and we ain't going to be down. We're not going to be negative. We're not going to be upset because our boy Wemby got 50 points. He got 50 points in a win, and we are going to celebrate that because that is something that's so rare. I just said it. He is the 4th youngest player in NBA history to do something like this. Just really think about what that means. Think about what that means for, say, the 4th youngest in the history of the NBA to have a 50-point game. It shows how special this kid is. We know the pressure that's on Victor Wembanyama. We know the weight of the world that is on this kid's shoulders. He has been donned the next superstar of the NBA, not only just the American superstar, an international superstar. And he's able to get a 50-piece at 20 years old. I don't care who is against. That is impressive. That is things you want to see. That is something you want to see when you're a Spurs team that's trying to build up, that's trying to become a playoff team, that's trying to build a new identity. You do that by having a superstar like Victor Wembanyama. You do that by putting guys around your superstar that'll help him win, like a Chris Paul, like a Harrison Barnes. You learn how to use Champagne. You're using Vassell and Keldon the right way. You're figuring out how all of these young pieces, all of these other high draft picks as well, the way that they fit together. Remember, we still do not have Sochan. We talk about those defensive woes. I'm telling you, a lot of that's going to be fixed. Jordan Poole does not drop 42 points on a team with Jeremy Sochan as the lead defender. I promise you not. They're switching Jeremy Sochan. If he's not starting the game guarding him, Jeremy Sochan's ending the game guarding him. And that 42 turns into 26, 27. That's how much I believe in what Jeremy Sochan does. That's how much I believe in Jeremy Sochan's impact on this team. And when you have a guy like Wemby doing all of the dirty work, playing defense, and also scoring, you're not far away. You're not far away from success. You're not far away from what these Spurs fans want to see from their team. And I'm telling you guys right now, I know a 9-point win against the Wizards isn't impressive. I know a 9-point win against the Wizards isn't anything you want to write home about, but I'm telling you guys, I saw something special in this team because, again, even though they had that nice stretch, oh my gosh, that run in the third was amazing. And even though they let the Wizards go on a run, they didn't allow it to get too ahead of themselves, right? They didn't allow the Wizards never really felt like they were in this game. It never felt like the Wizards had a chance, right? And they shouldn't have a chance because, again, the Spurs aren't the Spurs of last year. This is a new Spurs team. This is a team that's trying to build a whole new identity. You're bringing in guys like Barnes. You're bringing in guys like Chris Paul to make an identity and say, we are trying to win right now. Yes, we have a ton of young guys. Yes, we have a ton of lottery picks. However, we're bringing veterans in to teach these lottery picks and these young guys how to play the game of basketball, and we're starting to see it unfold. And what a time to string together 2 wins, because next game is the Lakers. And it's cup play. They have a tough stretch of games. The Spurs have a tough stretch of games coming up. It's not only just the Lakers. They also, after that, they play the Mavs, then the Thunder, then they play the Jazz, which they should be able to win, but then they play the Warriors. Like, these are tough stretches of games in the West. And that's what's going to happen. That's what's going to happen with the Spurs. So when you're able to stack wins, when you're able to get an impressive surprise win over the Kings, then you're able to stack a win against a bad team in the Wizards. Then not only get that win, but also build momentum by having your star player have a night that he's never had before, having a record-breaking night. These are all things that are going to help a team tremendously and help a team win more basketball games, man. I was really happy when I saw from Wemby today. I truly think this is just the start. We have seen multiple games now where he just looks comfortable. Yes, the start of the season was a little rocky for Wemby, and not really rocky, but just a little bit, to where fans were a little nervous. We saw you guys' comments. We saw what you guys were saying. You guys are already ready to tank. I just don't feel that we're there. I don't think the Spurs are going to be a bad enough team to have a top 3, a top 5 pick. I just don't see that happening this year. I think that this team is very, very different. And you should think the same thing, because these guys are playing hard. They're locked in, man. They're doing this without their head coach. They're doing this without their lead perimeter defender. You're still missing Tre Jones, who was their starting point guard for years. All of these things matter, especially when you're a young team, especially when you're a young team trying to build a new identity. All these things matter. I don't think it's been talked about enough. Again, major, major prayers and love and sending healing energy to head coach Gregg Popovich. Strokes, even if mild, are nothing to laugh about. They're nothing to belittle. These are big things. A stroke itself can change the entire outlook of somebody's life. So major, major love and prayers to our head coach, Gregg Popovich, man. It makes me so happy to see the Spurs play games like this and get wins, because Gregg Popovich is watching, and he's smiling. He's feeling good, and he's happy, because it's not like they're winning without Gregg Popovich. No, they're winning because of all the things Gregg Popovich has instilled in them, because of the culture that Gregg Popovich has built within the city of San Antonio and within that arena for years and years and years. It is something that can't be measured. It is something that we can't talk enough about. So, of course, I'm going to have to show love to Gregg Popovich like we did in the last video, because, again, he is not just important to the NBA. He's not just important to the Spurs. He is important to the entire city of San Antonio. Dare I say the entire state of Texas. Gregg Popovich is a huge piece of this puzzle. And the fact that the Spurs can get any wins without their fearless leader, without the greatest head coach to ever coach in the NBA, it is a big deal. And I know Gregg Popovich is smiling ear to ear watching Wemby get that 50 piece. But I got a feeling, when he talks to Wemby, probably already done called Pop, probably the first person he called. And I guarantee you Popovich was like, hey, but you could have done this better. But you could have done this better. But you let them go on a run. Maybe you could have had 60 if you would have done this. That is the type of coach Gregg Popovich is. He is somebody that's going to constantly find ways to teach you and push you to be your best self. And that's what I think makes this Spurs team so scary and so special. Because they don't just have Wemby, who is a freak, who is an alien. They don't just have all of these young pieces. They don't just have Chris Paul. They have Gregg Popovich and the culture he has built around the San Antonio Spurs. And to me, that is more valuable than anything most teams in the NBA have. What a great win for our Spurs, man. Listen, again, it was rough. It was tough. The Washington Wizards are not a good team. What I'm saying? I'm not watching this win and saying, hey, we're going right to the championship. That's not what I'm saying. However, when your star player drops 50, you allowed to poke your chest out a little bit. You're allowed to celebrate a little bit. And Spurs family, I hope y'all celebrate this win. Yes, it's against the Washington Wizards. However, what it means for Victor Wembanyama to get this 50 piece so early in his career, he's with very, very short company. He's with very, very small company. And let me tell you, that is great company to have when you are a young star. The confidence is only going up for our boy Victor. And my confidence in him is only going up. In Spurs Digest family, I hope y'all confidence is only going up as well. Make sure y'all hit subscribe. Make sure y'all hit the doorbell to get notified. Make sure y'all comment. Share y'all excitement. Because, guys, remember, I know we've probably seen so many 50 pieces in the NBA, we don't realize how big of a deal it is. This is a huge deal. We might only get a handful of these games from Victor in his career. Not that he's not a great player that can drop 50 whenever he wants, but it's such a rare thing to see. So celebrate this. Feel good. Allow yourselves to be happy, because it is a tough stretch of games. We got cup play coming up, ladies and gentlemen. It is a tough stretch of games coming up for the Spurs. So let's celebrate this. Let's enjoy this. Let's not enjoy it just for Victor. Let's not just enjoy this for the Spurs, but let's enjoy this for our head coach, Gregg Popovich, who we hope is healing and will be back quickly. We cannot wait to see you, Gregg Popovich, and we are so happy to be stacking wins while you are away. Spurs Digest family, I am Bryan Colbert. This is a Spurs Digest post-game show from out here in Philly. I'm out in a hotel, but it don't matter. We are going to give you guys content any way that we can. Spurs Digest family. Until next time, I'm Bryan Colbert, and I'm out.